Alrighty, welcome to Romera Records virtual cast. Today we have on David Dobson. How's it going, David?
It's going great. Good to see you.
Awesome. Yeah. Was really excited about this. Number one, because of what you currently do now, and then also because I haven't talked to you in a while in a long-winded conversation. So yeah, I figured this would be a great one to do.
Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on. I
Absolutely.
was super excited when you asked me. Um, Obviously, happy to talk about whatever we want to today.
So go ahead and let people know what you do, and then we can get into everything else from there.
For sure. So I'm gonna. Uh, I never really thought that was going to be my career path. It just sort of worked out that way, and I'm very glad it did. No 2 days are the same, and with everything that's changing right now in the world, it certainly changes every day, minute to minute. Um, we do a lot of stuff as far as criminal law, custody cases, divorce cases, personal injury cases, estate cases, a little bit of everything. The floor is wide open for anything you want to talk about.
Awesome. So back in high school, I would have never guessed that you would be doing this right now. But your dad was a judge, so I guess I could definitely make a guess from that. So was he like an influence in you doing what you do now?
For sure. He's definitely my hero, my role model. Um, I went to undergrad for marketing. That was my undergrad. I had a professional license, had a specialization in professional sales. And when I graduated, there wasn't a whole lot of job opportunities. I got a couple of offers to sell life insurance. Wasn't for me. I'm not hating on the career path. Certain people do it, make livings, but it wasn't for me. And so I was kind of considering getting my MBA. And my dad said, "Hey, why don't you do law school? Why don't you, if you like it or not?" And I did. And
That's awesome. So do you feel like that was something where you could just jump into it, or do you think that was going to be difficult to you know, figure out everything about law?
well, they call it practice of law. Even my dad, who's been doing it 40 years, he's still practicing law. There are so many different things. For example, you wouldn't believe how many laws there are regarding speed bumps in neighborhoods. It'll blow your mind. So nobody knows everything. Certainly you look at certain areas, you can get a good handle on it, but the laws change all the time.
That's so crazy. I mean, like when I think about the different kinds of like laws that people have to make or enforce and everything, I'm just like, lawyers have the worst job because they have to not only keep up with what's going on because as you said, things change. Like we don't have the same laws when we first became a country back in 1776. Things are different now. So do you feel like you're always having to read up and like Google search stuff? Like I don't know, like how do you keep up with everything?
So I guess once you become an attorney, you get sort of an online search provider, sort of the class here, Google, I guess. We use Westlaw. But yeah, you're all the time reading. Um, each year I have to complete some continuing legal education class. So 12 years out of the year, I have to go to different classes. I get to pick whatever area of the law that I'm focusing on at that time. So yeah, it's all. And a big thing now is interesting. Everybody on social media, everybody's on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Do you own those? Does Instagram own your pictures? Or does some data provider that sold the information to you on the pictures? And that's just constantly revolving, changing, seeing where it goes.
That Yeah, that's a huge thing. Is people get upset when somebody has their photo, like, oh, how'd you get that information about me? Well,
Right.
you've got a Facebook and an Instagram where you're literally giving the world information about you. So
Public. So, what do you
exactly. So is there, I guess, is there a situation that you run into where you feel like, uh, the time has kind of has gotten away from you as far as like technology, or you're like, oh man, like I didn't think that was, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I remember when TikTok first came out, and I had to ask, like, what is TikTok? I had to ask people. So do you feel like there are like technologies, or they're just things out there where you're like, man, I've got to figure out what this is, and then I can help this person?
So where I'm at, I'm out in the country. I'm still in our hometown of Alabama. I'm not seeing a lot of big tech litigation, wars on privacy or anything like that. I do a lot of mill stuff. But certainly electronic evidence is something that always is a big issue in cases. It used to be that courts would have text messages, and you had somebody from the provider of the carrier phone there to authenticate records. So now text messages, emails, pictures, judges, courts are a lot more accepting of it. You don't have to go through the same evidentiary chain that you typically have to. So the law is changing, and a lot of divorces, a lot of custody cases, it's Facebook posts, it's text messages.
Mm.
Can you believe this awful thing somebody sent me? Or here's my drinking in a bar. They're supposed to custody my kid. What are they doing? How can they take my kid? That kind of stuff.
Dang. I bet that gets crazy as far as just like drama wise. Like, you're having to hear all these different stories, and just depict like what's important, what's not important, and what's actually necessary to help this person out.
For sure. And sometimes it's the hardest part, actually figuring out information I need to know and not the drama necessarily surrounding it.
Is there like a certain, I guess, like a test that you have to do to keep up with like your licenses? Or I know is you have to do, was it the bar exam? Did you have to?
Bar. Oh,
So
yeah. Friends a little bit like hearing about it.
so that's like the entry test to to start practicing, right?
Right. So a lot of people go to law school, never pass the bar.
Dang.
So they would be what's called a lawyer. Once you pass the bar, then you become an attorney. Most people kind of use those terms interchangeably, and you're not necessarily wrong calling an attorney either one of them. But yeah, so once you get done with law school and you're in a bunch of student debt and you don't have it because you're still in school, you have to take a 2-day test. One day is 8 hours of choice. The second day is 8 hours of essays. And then you wait 8 weeks and you find out if you get to practice law or not.
Wow, that's so insane. So how do you feel about that system? Like, do you think that system is good enough, or how do you feel about it?
I think it's good. The most you ever know as an attorney is usually right when you hit the bar. Closest I've ever come to losing my mind was studying for the bar. So many different things you're looking at, from commercial law to family law to criminal law to estate, everything else. I mean, you're just cramming your brain full of a bunch of information.
So I never thought about that. So usually an attorney has like there's certain practice, and also where you're licensed at. So is the bar exam covering everything?
Everything.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of staples that you see. There's always going to be contract questions. There's always going to be family law questions. There's always going to be questions on PC, which is company law, corporations, limited liability companies. Some of it, the questions may be phrased a little differently, but yeah, you literally have to look at everything, know everything, and take.
Dear God, dude.
I don't.
My sympathies for you.
It's all right. I can do it. No 2 days are the same. I promise you that.
That's wild. So, all right, let's go back some. So you've graduated high school. What'd you do after high school?
So I went to the University of North Alabama. Would have been your senior season. Season you won a fairly John Ford. I see you very proud of me for that. Still a legend for it. I spent 2 years in Florence, Alabama. Then I transferred to Tuscaloosa. So I graduated from the University of Alabama. Um, had a great back-to-back national champions. You know, I can't. And then I went to law school. So that was another year. So 7 years spent in.
So when you, I guess, when you're leaving high school and then you're deciding to go to your first college, do you feel like that was going to be like a weird transition for you? I know when I graduated high school, I was like, oh, like this is the world's still turning. Like we're still we're all still doing this. So like, how'd you feel when you graduated and you had to do something else?
It was real weird. You know, you sort of go out and try to find yourself and figure out what kind of person you want to be. I went to UNA, which is where my sister was at. So she was a junior in college when I moved up there. And, she was great. She cooked dinner for me a lot, made me laundry, made sure I called mom, all those good things. And then one of my best friends in the world, still to this day, Ethan Cassidy, he went to UNA with me, and then we transferred together to Tuscaloosa together. So it was kind of nice that those sort of rocks to lean on as you develop and learn going on. So it was had a little bit of old, a little bit of new, and just kind of put it all together.
So you were talking about how you had like offers to do like insurance and all kinds of stuff. Like what jobs have you done pre what you're doing right now?
So I bartended, I waited tables all through undergrad. Worked at the district attorney's office here in Blount County as a law clerk. Got to see the filing system, got to see the evidence, what's important, what's not, kind of how to manage files. Because at the end of the day, we are managing a lot of paperwork. I worked for a construction company, B&B Construction. Shout out Ben Ballard, guy. I did the marketing for them, helped build a website, different stuff going with them, and basically I've been practicing all ever since.
Man, that's so crazy because like the when we get out of high school, we're just like, all right, I'm doing college and then I'm gonna do whatever. But you're just kind of just hoping that the system just works itself out. You just go to school for what I mean, yeah, you pick a major, you go to school, and then you're like, well, I'm gonna get this perfect job when I get out, and it's gonna be exactly what my major's in. But it never works out that way. Like hardly anybody does that.
No, and I think they lie to you a lot as far as the importance of it. You know, to me, I always equated your income, how successful you could be, how much money you would have by the level of education you have. And the older I get, the more I see the world, there's no correlation whatsoever. Some of the smartest people I know work for the state. They make good, very decent money. You got people who didn't even graduate high school that own their own company, whether it's a roofing company, installation company, a construction company, and those are making money hand over fist. And so a lot, to me, be kind of blown up the proportion of you have to go to college, you have to get a 4-year degree, otherwise it amounts to nothing. And it's just a lie. A lot of people are getting in debt about it.
Do you think that there is something that like I guess schools could do better for people who, I guess, like, want to do business or, want to do a certain thing. Because, especially, so I remember when I got out of the Air Force and I went back to Alabama, I found out about some like school or like some program that you could learn a trade for free. And then like companies were like hiring people from that program. And I was like, this is amazing. Like people
Yeah.
can just like learn a trade. And that's when like it really baffled me how some people are just sitting at home and it's like, oh, I can't get a job. Like, no.
There's plenty of jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to work ethic. If you can deal with people, if you can show up on time, you can make any amount of money that you want to make these days. The most, I guess, people I know that are doing it as well as anyone else, if you have a master plumber's license or you have a master electrician's license, you are literally writing checks now. So there's nobody that wants to do it. Not a lot of interest going into this profession. They're kind of hit with the blue collar kind of label. Go to college, best time of your life, greatest thing you'll ever do. It may be the greatest thing to do for 4 or 5 years. But whenever you get out and you start trying to make money and support a family and buy a house, buy a car, and those things, those guys are up.
Is there something that you, I guess, felt like that you were like about to go down the wrong path? Like, did you feel like, oh, I want to be, I'll just say electrician. Like, you were like, oh, I want to be an electrician. And then you started like going down the path and it was the wrong thing. Like, were you headed a certain way? Then you just felt like, oh, that was the wrong thing to do.
Honestly, I can't say that I was. Um, I never had a lot of pressure I get on myself to be a certain thing or to act a certain way. You knew me in high school. You've known me for a long time. I enjoy the day. I enjoy the weekends. I have a good time. See what opportunities open up. Sort of make the best decision I can based on those options. The life insurance and working in insurance and sales out of college, I mean, they were pretty attractive job offers. They were offering 75, $85,000 a year, which to me, bartending seemed like I was in the lottery. It's more money than I've ever seen. So that was a little bit of, am I making the right decision? Am I not? Essentially, I turned it down, continued to be poor, had absolutely nothing, just kind of living the week, check to check. Hope I have a good night at the bar tonight. And long term, it's paid off. I'm thrilled the way it turned out. I think for a lot of people who just couldn't continue living in that lifestyle of a student, bartending, I mean, yeah, it's probably much more decision.
So, did you start out working for a company, or did you just like start out with Dobson and Dobson? They always talk about like law
Yeah.
firms have like multiple names of different people in a collection. So, did you start out with like a firm with different people, or were you just doing your own thing?
No, so I got two business partners, and they're great people. Couldn't have asked better. They've been in practice for about 13 years. It's been King and Green. So Brett King, he's in Locust, Alabama. You know what I'm talking about. Most people probably don't know. The other partner, Brett Green, he's in Birmingham, over in Holmes. And so they've been killing it. But they were looking to have an office in Aniana, which is, our hometown. And it just kind of worked out that I had passed the bar. They wanted to expand. They wanted to have an office here. So I started working with them. It was King and Green. We did that for about 6 months. My name got added. It's now King Green and Dobson. We had some billboards go up. I'm here in one office, and it's been a huge blessing. I mean, being able to start, not really start from zero. We already had clients. We already had a business. People recognize my partners. It's been tremendous.
So yeah, I'm sure that's pretty huge for you to be able to just work with other people who've been doing it because I mean with anything it's difficult to just jump straight in and then not have any help. But I mean you've got some people with some experience and you're able to have some clientele and do some work. So I'm sure that's helped you out a lot.
Big time. When I was at the school, they always when you're starting a business, your break even point. So when you actually start making enough money to pay all the bills is usually a year and a half to 2 years from starting. So I was able to start at the end even because I was taking clients from Brad, from Brett, and it's been a dream situation.
Do you have anything that I guess would attribute to I guess your determination and motivation to get to where you're at, or it's just David Dobson, just self driven, just just all about it.
I've always been driven. I don't really know why. I don't know the thing I could point to it. My dad just had real high expectations, and I admired him, and I tried to model myself after kind of what he's done. Um, had a lot of coaches in sports coming up, and they really pushed you beyond what you thought you could. And so I've just sort of taken that mindset from a athletics standpoint, sort of applied it towards academics, and sort of just my life. I mean, I don't like to sit around. I actually had COVID about 6 months ago. Sitting at my house for 10 days was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, after 4 days, I felt pretty good. I just sat there looking around for the next 6 days. Just, what am I doing? Why do I have to do it? And I just don't really stop. I enjoy it. And I think everybody should do something they enjoy because it's not, I don't view it as work. I view it as I help people. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy making money too. It's, part of it. So, it's good to find what you're passionate about. I think I found that.
Yeah, and I think that like sports is such a like foundation that I mean, I feel like all kids should have because it teaches you so many lessons. Like, from the times where, your, what was it, your junior year when we were pretty bad, and
Oh
then
yeah.
your senior year when we do much better. Like, if a picture of somebody had like transferred to our school, like your junior year, and they're like, oh, this team sucks. Like, I'm leaving this school. But then the next year we do great in football. So it's like, it's, there's so many lessons that you can learn in high school in sports that can carry you out through life on just like perseverance and just like having confidence and learning how to just deal with struggle, dealing with other people like teammates and whatnot. Like all those things are great foundational tools to propel you in life.
Yeah, anytime you deal with adversity. And so my junior year, we were 5-6. We made the first round of the playoffs and got one of the biggest ass kicks in my entire life.
Yeah, that North
Looking back,
Jackson.
it was like 68, 13, maybe. It was bad, real bad. But in a large degree, I think those losses and those hard times really kind of pushed us. My senior year, to be 10-3, and there was a game where we were down 17 points against Alexander in the fourth quarter, and we just stuck together, fighting, and really all we need. We come from a lot of privilege, we have a lot of good things. We didn't have the luxury of kind of sitting watching the second half. And so those events brought us together, and I think about that season all the time as cheap as that time.
Yeah, I mean that was an incredible like win for and that's why I love like high school and college so much. I mean, like NFL, like there's so many people who are from everywhere who are a fan of a team, but like usually in college or high school, like people are from the area, and like it was like you won for the city. You know what I mean? It's like, and that was like when Kanye and Jeezy song came out. I put on. It was like
Oh yeah,
that was like the
listen.
anthem. That was like our anthem, you know, because you just felt like you were representing your whole community, and it was like, man, that's a great feeling.
I'm still going. If you brought it to me, was Pride Month. I think that was it.
Yeah, that song, and seeing like Simeon would go wild.
Yeah, man, he was gotten skinny. This is sort of a
Yeah,
hitting a parallel here, but
he looks
yeah, so
fantastic.
yeah, very proud of him.
And that's another thing that I think about all the time is just like how many people I haven't seen since high school, and I'm like, would I even notice what that person would look like?
I think you would.
There's some people who I've seen, like just a photo of them on like Facebook or something, like after high school. I'm just like, oh snap, that's so and so. Like,
Yeah.
it like took me a while to register who that person was, and I went to JSU, and then I went to the Air Force in 2015. So I'm in North Dakota for almost 4 years, and I think I came back to Alabama like twice in that time span. So I'm not seeing people unless I have them on like Instagram or Facebook or something like that. So like my connections were people were like way off, and then I would go back and see people I graduated with, like Roman and Duke, Blackwood, like all these people, and like they all still lived in Alabama, so they're just like seeing each other all the time, and they would give me an update about like what's happening in people's lives. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Lord, so you got caught up on all the news.
Yeah.
It's wild how people change, what goes on in life. I can say this: there's no shortage of problems in the world, and that has been great for my business. But before we get too far away from the high school days, I did want to say that some of the most exciting things I ever heard in my life was when your mom said, "I've been cooking, y'all come over." The greatest. I don't think I've ever run so fast in my life.
Oh my God. Dude, I always think about like all the food that we would get from like football and like going to Coach Gillen's house and all that kind of stuff.
I wish people would cook like that for me now. Doesn't happen.
Dude, I lived for those Friday mornings where we go to that church and eat. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, that's memorial. I
Oh
think they're
man.
still doing breakfast,
Are
by
they
the way.
really?
Yeah, if they fed us through my sophomore and junior year when we were terrible, I think they're pretty well committed to the cost.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, just shows like I don't know who else, what other cities, I don't know if Locust Fork, or Susan Moore are doing that kind of stuff for their team, but like it just shows like how crazy like Aniana was for football.
Still in.
Yeah. I actually yeah, I'm still huge in high school and college football. So I me and my wife, we would go travel and like see certain players play. Like I would know like who the top recruit in certain schools were, and like my sister, she lives in McDonough, Georgia, and God, who was playing? There was a guy named, I think it was Kevin Harris. He played for some school, but he ended up playing linebacker at Alabama, and he just recently transferred. And God, there's a kid that plays for Auburn, Owen Papo. He played for the other school. So the two schools are playing each other, and it was like right down the road from where my sister lived. So I was like, Rachel, we're going to this game. So we go to that game, and it was pretty exciting. That was fun. And then we also went to, this is actually a pretty crazy story. So we go to Pinson versus Clay Chalkville, and it's at Pinson. And the people who
Is
are
that
in the,
days?
yes. So
Yeah.
Bo Nix is the quarterback for Pinson. DJ Dale, who plays at Bama now, he was defensive tackle for Clay Chalkville. I'm guessing Kool-Aid was on that team as well. But let's see. So yeah, we ended up parking, and like when you're driving through that like past the Pinson High School, there's like a little dip that it's like a kind of like a little bridge or whatever. Um, we had to park close to that, and Rachel was like, "Is all this for this game?" And I was like, "Yes."
Damn right it is.
I was like, "Yes, this is high school football in Alabama." So, anyways, we walk all the way to the stadium, and we find a random spot to sit down, and we're sitting there and we're watching the game, and I'm looking at the people in front of me. I'm like, that girl and that guy look familiar. I'm not sure who it is, but and then the guy gets up and walks away, and actually I think both of them I can't remember, but I asked, there's an older guy sitting next to both of them, and I was like, I asked him who it was, and it turned out to be God, what is her name? Whitney. She's got blonde hair, and then Neesmith.
Yeah.
Dang, now I can't think of his name. Is it
Evan?
not Andrew? I think that was his brother. Dang, I can't remember his name.
Rodney?
No, no, no. It was God, shoot, I can't. But he was young. He was like a couple grades younger than me. But I was like, oh snap! Like it was just so random because we literally just picked a random spot to sit down, and they just so happened they were like literally sitting like right below us, and I was like, dear God, that was crazy. But yeah, we ended up talking to them for the whole time. He actually was in the army. I think he had recently got out and started working somewhere. But I was like, man, that's so crazy. Like just running up on somebody like that. But yeah, it's life.
Small world. I know
Absolutely.
that's used all the time. But I go to different courthouses and see people, and just like, what world are you
Have you had to like do any cases for somebody you knew?
Oh yeah.
Is that like that's
Right.
a frequent thing?
It is. Not all of them are bad things. So not all cases are bad things. I
Yeah.
feel like when I said it, it kind of sounded good, but I've got to do adoption for people that are very excited that I do in college. Got to do an adoption for my sister as well.
Oh.
But yeah, you see people in high school that you knew charged for the felonies, receiving stolen property, possession of a controlled substance, and nice, try to say hello. I'm not above anybody. I don't think I'm better than anybody.
Yeah.
I think I've had pretty fortunate circumstances, but try to always meet people. And sometimes it's difficult because sometimes they come to court looking at absolute crackheads.
Dang.
Yeah, sort of a hey, how are you? And you keep moving.
So I guess what is your favorite part about, like, I'm sure doing like an adoption thing, or just helping out a family or something like that. I'm sure those are great, but like, what are your favorite parts about doing what you do?
So my favorite type of cases are adoptions, and it's one of the few things I do where people cry. It's actually like tears of happiness, not like the say of my life.
Yeah.
I really like construction cases. They're a little bit more simple and simple in the sense of from an emotional standpoint. People aren't crying over it. It's typically, you know, this retaining wall's not done right, the foundation's not done right, the roof is messed up. We need new truss in the roof, we need drywall, and it's not an emotional thing. It's more of just a money transactional type thing, and just figure out what the problem is and fixing it. I do like cases. I'll watch all the criminal minds. I watch all that kind of stuff. I like criminal cases. I like jury trials. That's really my favorite thing. Give me 12 people in a box. Let me tell my side of the story. Let someone else tell their side of the story and see who you like better. I like my chances, and that's what I like to do. Really, is try cases to juries. which you would think every attorney would do that, but really about 96% of cases settle. So most cases never go to trial. They never go to the jury.
Hmm.
The attorneys just talk with some number, tell you about it. You off on. I actually like trying cases. I like witnesses. I like presenting evidence. I like talking to jurors, picking jurors, and that's really my thing.
So how does the jury stuff work? I've never had to do jury duty. I remember, what's his name? Was it Kilgore?
Jim Kilgore.
He took
Sure.
us on that field trip, and we had to do the fake court cases. That was really fun. But so yeah, how does jury stuff like really work as far as like so people getting picked, or is there a certain scheme, or is it just like a lottery, like you're just picking random humans?
It's definitely, it's always. So they pull the jury summon from the DMV, so who's ever driver's license says you're in whatever county. And so they'll summon about 200 people to, hey, you got jury duty, come on in. Based on how many people show up, which hasn't been great lately with COVID, understandably. And there really haven't been a lot of jury trials with the pandemic that's going on in the country. But if the people show up or into groups, typically 40 to 60 people. The judge will get everybody at the same time. I'll be in there. The other side will be in there. My client will be there. And the judge will ask certain standard questions like, hey, do you know Attorney David Dobson? And if you know me, you're probably getting off, unless you kind of know me through social media. The judge will do the same thing with the other attorney. Hey, do you know this attorney? Do you know the plaintiff? Um, who in here is related to the witnesses in the case? They'll check if anybody just needs to be off for no reason. All of that is called the voir dire. And so after the judge gets done, then each attorney gets to ask questions to try to figure out who you are, what you're about, how you might possibly view this case. So, for instance, a lot of criminal law cases, one of the things we always ask the defense attorney is, hey, who is related to marriage or blood to anyone in law enforcement? The reason we do that is we think if your husband or your dad or your cousin or your uncle or your grandfather was in law enforcement, you're probably going to be more sympathetic to the state case, be more likely to convict my client because you know how difficult it is to be an officer these days. So all kinds of questions. A lot of attorneys will say, hey, who in here has stickers on their car? Does anybody have any stickers on your car? And the idea behind that is more expressive. If you do have bumper stickers, what are your bumper stickers? What causes you to strongly believe? Do you have a Trump sticker? Do you have a Joe Biden sticker? There's a lot of insight you can get as to how you might feel about the case and my client based on whatever bumper stickers you got on your car.
So how do you hold these people accountable of their answers? So they're like, oh, who's here related to what's called, and they just, they don't say anything. Like, how do you hold those people accountable?
It's really hard to do. And I don't know if there is a great answer to that. People in there are willing to tell the truth. You're under a judge is asking a question. And that's just the kind of thing you run into in trials. Before anybody takes a stand, the judge says, raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, I do. And then they immediately just lie, or lie, or lie. People say, you can't do that. This is a program. You can't lie. Well, that's kind of true. But a lot of it comes down to what evidence you have Can you catch them in a lie? If you can catch them in a lie, you got a great chance. The judge will be on your side, the jury. It all comes down to credibility, I guess. And there's no great way to try to hold jurors accountable for their answers.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably like one of the hardest parts is just trying to get the right info out of people during a case because anything incorrect. I mean, we've all seen TV shows where, somebody is lying and then like, the attorney's like, "Oh, wait a minute." So those types of things I'm pretty sure can throw a wrench in whatever case you're doing.
For sure. And it's difficult to get that information out of people. Most of the time during the voir dire portion, you're picking juries. A lot of times people don't want to talk. Um, they don't feel comfortable public speaking. They don't want their opinion known. They don't want to be judged by some of the peers. They may go to church with someone who's three pews over, three seats over. And some of the questions, are, raise your hand if you think marijuana should be recreational and it should not be a criminal offense. Well, when you're in a small town and there's people you go to church with, they may want to raise their hand, not raise their hand. They don't want people to see their answer. And usually at the end of the voir dire portion of a jury trial, the judge will say, "Hey, if you got some answer that you want to give to me that maybe you don't want to say to everybody else, come on up, I'll talk to you about it." So usually how that works. And then once that's done, you go into the actual jury selection where you're striking juries. And that's typically done. You pick who you don't want, then each side has to strike. And then your jury is people that you're okay with. You don't want them all. So you just say who you don't want until you get to 12. Most of the time, 13 to have an alternate. And then once you get to that number of people, that's your jury.
So something that you said made me think about this. People not wanting to talk. So for somebody in your position, you got to like to talk, and you got to like to be comfortable around, saying some things that you don't usually want to say to a complete stranger. Now you've always been a very personal person, like you've been able to talk to people and have confidence in yourself, but did it seem like it was a rough transition, like to be, number one, you're in front of people, talking, and then number two, you're having to, make an accusation, and be able to just state facts, and somebody might tell you that you're lying, and you have to be able to, have the confidence to be like, no, I'm right. So, I mean, did that seem easy for you to do?
Yes and no. I like to, it's a part of my personality. I don't have to be the center of attention if there's six of us that have dinner. I don't really need to just talk over everyone. But whenever there's an opportunity of public speaking or, hey, here's a microphone, I've always, the confidence side of it is really important. I think that's what most people don't like public speaking because it can be difficult if you start stuttering or you start not making a lot of sense. You will see faces looking at you like, what are you doing? That part can be difficult. But as far as people calling me a liar, that's not really how it goes. I sort of feel like some of the story. Certainly witnesses get combative sometimes, and sometimes I get after witnesses who don't like it, and they will say you're a liar, you don't know what you're talking about. And really, at that point, I say, I'm the one asking the question. You answer the questions. Do you understand? And the judge will say, hey, you got to answer questions. Because a lot of times cases, people are heated. People are upset. People want to be heard. And generally, when you're testifying, you don't say anything you want to say. And so it can be very frustrating to people who are sitting there and they can only answer questions that they're asked. And they may be thinking, well, you're not asking the right question. Ask me this question. And that can be difficult. But, really being authentic and genuine, being who you are, being confident, I think that's the most important things about what you do. And I enjoy
That's
it.
awesome. Like I honestly see like you doing well in this career because of like, how I've known you to always be, and like you always seem like you've always been like a fair person, and then you've always seemed like you were a type of person that just, wanted to get things right. Like you never seemed like you were trying to screw everybody over or anything like that. So to be able to see you doing this and to be like, doing well at it, that doesn't surprise me as far as like your ability to succeed. Do you feel like what you're doing is something that you'll continue doing, or is there like, you might want to move somewhere else and do something else as far as like, all the things that you currently practice? I was asking you about, being helping out with like the entertainment business for me and everything. Do you feel like that's like a venture you would want to get involved in, or do you feel like you'd have to move somewhere else to do that kind of stuff? What do you feel like your future entails?
Well, let me first say I appreciate the kind words. And I've always thought the same things about you and felt the same way about you. You've got a lot of energy. I always admire your work ethic. That's why I was so excited when you asked me, come on, talk. As far as the future, I don't really know. I get asked about running for judge like my dad, or being a district attorney or whatever. I'm just kind of happy doing what I'm doing right now. Um, had some good financial success, some great results for clients. I've made some great friends. I feel like, getting to do the things that I like to do right now. And I love my school. I usually go to the gym. I work out a lot. I like to run. I like to play basketball. So I've kind of created groups and different things that I can do for those. I'm just kind of happy right now. I hope, some change in the future and some maybe bigger opportunities come. But, if they don't, I'm okay with it. Maybe I'll just ride for coattails. I don't know. I saw you doing some open mic stuff the other night, and it's done it awesome.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, that was the first time I ever performed, and
It's really good.
I was so nervous.
I believe it.
like I'm the type of person, like even like when I played football, like before every game, I was dumb nervous, and like even like the school plays we did, or like the pageants, I was always so nervous. Like most people probably couldn't tell, just because like in my brain is like, hey, we're really nervous right now. We shouldn't be doing this. Like, but my
Right.
body's like, yo, we gotta go. So they talk about like the first hit that you get. You just kind of get acclimated. You're like, all right, I got the first one out. I'm ready to go. And you get that cherry popped, and you're good. But like that's how I feel about the performance last night. Like I was pretty nervous, and I'm going to continue to be nervous like every time I perform. But like I know what it feels like now. Like I know what it's like to be on stage, performing by myself. Like when we're doing the pageants and everything, like it's a whole bunch of people. So I know everybody's not just staring at me, but like that, everybody's just looking at me. So
But most of the time, they ended up staring at you because you did the best move. You did the most rhythm. That adds a lot. The feeling you're talking about, the butterflies, your throat kind of tightens, kind of breaking the sweat, your heart's pumping. That's what it's all about. I mean, that's the adrenaline. And I think that's really what you you're doing what you like to do. Because I'll feel it before I speak to 60 people, or before I start presenting a case. It's not that I don't feel that way. It's just I enjoy that feeling. And that's like an adrenaline. I guess it kind of makes me come alive. I'm thinking better, talk more sharp. It just kind of brings out the best in me. It doesn't do that for everybody, I guess. So I think that's a good thing, and I applaud you for going out that make you feel that way.
The crazy thing was, is like, on my way to the venue, I'm like, I don't have to do this. Like, I could just stay at home tonight. Like, what am I doing? But, it makes me think about all the people who don't do that in life. The people who are just sitting at home and they don't have any kind of adrenaline rush of just, I'm alive. Like, I've got to go perform something. I've got to go do something. Like, that would completely blow my mind, and it would drive me crazy to not have something that's like meaningful in my life like
The man in there, I don't know if you've ever read that, but yeah, I think particularly in today's society, it's real easy to sit on your couch. And it's real easy to kind of pass judgment on social media, and real easy to have a lot of opinions behind a keyboard. The fact that you're up there and you're doing it, you're investing your time, you're investing your energy and your mind and your heart. Those are, I mean, that's the best experience you can possibly have. I mean, that is being dreams that you have, desire that you have, with energy that you have, putting it all in something. And I love it about, for me, that's trials. For you, that's performing on stage and being in the recording studio and doing the videos and everything else you're doing. So I applaud you for that, man. I'm glad to see you doing well and, really to the world.
Thank you. So when you are nervous, like, do you feel like, I don't know, does it make you feel like, oh shoot, I hope I don't mess up, or are you just like, all right, let's calm down, let's think about all the information I've got. I prepared for this. I'm ready. Like, let's just pull through.
I think it's a little bit different, from your experiences to mine. So a lot of what I do, I'm processing a lot of information. I've got a case coming up. The discovery in the case, which means the information that's going to be used in the case, is about 1,800 pages.
Dang.
That's a lot of information. And so you're not going to use all of 1,800 pages. You're going to use, maybe really 50 to 75 pages. Because if you get above 75, people aren't listening. They don't care. It's too much. It's going over their head. And so I kind of script. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. So I've got like A, B, C. So I want to talk about A. I want to talk about B. I want to talk about C. But a big part about what I'm doing is I'm trying to convince you. I'm trying to read you. I want your opinion. I want your honest thought. And so a lot of times that comes out best reading the witness or reading the jury and adjusting what I'm doing to whatever the conversation and how it flows. I can have a list of 100 questions I'm going to ask you. Number one, what is your name? Number two, what is your address? Number three, where? But, if I'm asking that and you say, my name is James Henderson and he's guilty, I know he's guilty, that's on. Well, I'm not going to say, what's your address? I'm going to say, oh, all right, man, what'd you see? What'd you hear? How do you know that? Why are you saying that? And so a lot of what I have to do sort of changes based on how other people are testifying, what they're saying. And if the jury's really bored, and if like two of them are asleep, then maybe I need to clap my hands or ask you some crazy question and try to gain their attention and try to get people refocused. And so I think to you, you may focus it more and, hey, these are the songs and this is the beat and these are the things I'm listening for. To me, I'm taking in the situation and saying, this is the most impactful moment. This is the best time. This is the drop in my moment, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm shutting up. It's the best thing I can do. You heard it. Out, out of here. See you guys later.
What would you say, I guess, is the hardest part about what you do? I mean, even if it's like, emotional when it comes to, working with certain people and having to, make a hard decision when it comes to helping somebody. There might be a case, I assume, that you realize, hey, I can't help you. I can't, do what you need me to do. I can't fulfill the service that you need. What would you say are some of the hardest parts of what you have to do?
Basically, everything you said, really. I do a criminal cases in the state of Alabama. That's a part of my, and most of the people you're dealing with um, come from low income households, come from divorced or fractured families. Um, a lot of cases, there are sexual abuse that this person's experienced or seen as a child. And so most of these people have a lot of problems. Not educated, they don't have a lot of, they don't have a lot of opportunities, they don't have a car, they don't have stable housing, they don't have family members they can depend on, and maybe they were abused as a child, physically, sexually, emotionally. So they got a lot. You know what I mean? Before I ever meet you, you've been dealt with that hand, and there's not much I can do about that. I can help you with this DUI. I can help you with this possession case. I can help you with this theft case. But I can't change all of these factors in your life. I can't give you a new set of parents. I can't give you a great job. I can't give you an education. I can't give you a car. So a lot of times it's difficult because people say, "Yeah, I'm in jail. Yes, I had 15 grams of methamphetamine on me. I was trying to pay the bills. I was trying to, give my parents money. I was trying to keep the lights on at the house. Or maybe it's cocaine or, maybe it's marijuana, whatever." And so, they'll say, "Yeah, I did. But like, what am I supposed to do?" Well, I don't have to do that. I don't know how to help you with that. All I can do sometimes is a legal case, which is good, and I can help them a lot. But you also know how many issues there are. I can't do anything about other than, man, I really care for you. I'll be praying for you. If you need a place to go, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here to talk to you anytime. But you just realize the amount of need that there is in the world. And there's a lot of people hurting. And there's a lot of people that just have no opportunities, nowhere to go. And that's difficult. Other than that, just managing the emotion of clients sometimes. I recently had a case in Jefferson County. I represented a builder. He was sued for $4,000. We filed a counter suit for $20,000. The case went really well. We got awarded $20,000, which is kind of rare to see that. But my client, it wasn't really about money to my client. He wanted to feel vindicated. He wanted to get his pound of flesh. He wanted to embarrass this person. And the judge was very upset with the guy testifying because the judge felt the guy testifying was being untruthful, and he was making representations as to what the house looked like when my client built left. And the judge caught it, and he was like, "You better be careful, because I will find you in contempt for lying to this court. I will put you in jail for perjury." Well, that's the greatest thing a judge can ever say if you're on the other side. The judge is upset visibly with the other side. Well, my client is saying, "He's a liar. Ask him this, ask him that, then ask him this, rub it in his face, show the judge he's a liar. Well, I said, no, we're not asking. The judge has said it's what we want him to be. And so the judge said, Mr. Dobson, do you have any questions? I said, no, I don't. We're done. And then the judge ruled in our favor for $1,000.
Wow.
So sometimes managing a client when you have the judge in the position is difficult because they don't really care what the result is. They just want to get that vindication. Right.
That's crazy, man. I'm sure you probably, I'm sure that's like stressful, but like exciting and exhilarating and all that stuff just like balled into all into one thing.
It is. You don't want that case. And so a lot of highs and lows. Sort of just like life is. And it's all about what you find your identity in. And your identity should never be that I win every time. Because if you lose, that crushes your identity as a person. I'm about working hard. I'm about doing all the things I need to do to prepare. And letting the chips fall as they may. I mean, that's really all I can do.
Absolutely. Well, man, it's been great talking to you. We're gonna wrap it up. Uh, give everybody your info so they can reach out to you if they've got some cases or some issues that they need handled. Give them whatever info that you wanna give out.
So my name is David Dobson. My Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, it's all DB underscore Dobson, Dobson. If you have listened to this episode, if you know Miss Mary Henderson, and if you've ever tried to get her food, you tell me that I'll give you a 30% discount.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Wow. This is David Dobson, everybody. Tried and true. Well, man.
We're going to have to do this again. We get into being a beast in the weight room,
Ah, no.
knocking you off on the football field. We didn't get to any of this stuff. Talk too much.
Oh, no, it was perfect.
Well, the listeners need to know. They need to know what a legend.
Well, thank you. I think I tried my best when we were in high school, and it was your senior year. That was probably the most fun I had playing football. Like that year was just really fun and really special because I think it was, a part of it I believe was the previous year and having such a bad year and then having such a great year afterward. It was like, oh, this is fun. Like, oh, we can win and have fun at the same time. Like
This is what winning feels like.
like, we had our, my grade, we had winning seasons, previously in like JV and all that kind of stuff in Little League, but like, being able to do that on a big scale with so many different age groups and whatnot, that was definitely special. So yeah, I'm very appreciative to be able to play with everybody who was a part of that team. It was really fun.
Well, it made me feel a lot better knowing that you were a linebacker behind me. So I knew if I missed them, you were there to absolutely rock some people's worlds.
I tried.
And I think that trust, really came across. I think that decided a lot of games. And what can I say? See you. I don't know.
Well, next time I'm in town, I'll definitely have to try and hit you up and get some pictures or something together. Because yeah, it's good seeing what you're doing, and I remember just driving by, seeing your face on the billboard, and I was like, man, Dobson done made it. Rags to riches. No.
Who knew that billboards were such a sign of making?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, please do, man. Hit me up. Let's do it again. If there's any topics we want to talk about, just let me know. I can look into it and kind of hopefully shed some light.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.